overpopulation has been a serious issue for the Earth. Yeah.
Thanks for your answer.
Sure. Hi.
Hi, my name is Carolina. I am an agronomist also. And my question is, what were you doing when you start thinking about design this suite, and how this special aerospatial suite ends in medical use for the little kids?
Yeah, okay, so how, so back to the beginning. So this is,
Was it contracted research?
no, not initially. So it was just definitely brainstorming, and I like to challenge myself as well as students to say, you know, kind of what's the craziest idea we can think of? And this was right up there on the top of one of the craziest ideas I've ever had. And I'm kind of a visual learner and thinker, so I think I knew, first I'm a researcher, so I did my research, and I knew about Paul Webb and his suit, and I was learning about Iberol, and so there was some research I had to do first. But then I actually I thought about it visually, to tell you the truth. And I thought, how do we do a new approach, spacesuit design, a radical new approach? And I thought about dipping astronauts in primary colors. So I was going to, one in a red bucket of paint and one in a blue bucket. And pooh, they would have a skin suit on. So that's one of my earliest memories, a visual memory of, you know, seems like a very crazy idea. But being a researcher, I went and did a little research, and I probably had that idea first, and then I found out about Paul Webb and said, you know, and I asked, maybe this isn't so crazy. Do you remember the first time I can tell you, we got funding from NASA, a very special place at NASA, because it's a full-fledged government bureaucracy, and there's something called the NASA Institute for Advanced Concepts. And they just have a little bit of funding. But what great bylaws, they said, okay, all you researchers out there, send us a proposal called Phase 1, a little proposal, and pretty much for your best crazy idea. I mean, that's almost what the text said. And it said, and we're looking to fund technology that big NASA's not funding. So my more conventional work, spacesuit design, injuries for astronauts, musculoskeletal, I have to propose to normal NASA. But this Institute for Advanced, NASA Institute for Innovative Concepts, innovation, advanced innovation is in the name of this, NIAC. And so we wrote a proposal, pitched it in, and I said I was going to shrink wrap the astronauts. But I had technical detail, because they have reviewers, serious external reviewers, smart people, and they say they don't fund the science fiction, plasma, ion propulsion, get to Mars in 2 days, because they're smart people reviewing these. We got good reviews, wow. And so it was a pretty crazy idea that started with a little bit of funding, and then how we got made more significant. That was like for concept studies, and so it was engineers and designers, and we short order started dreaming. A lot of these sketches came from early brainstorming, and all the beautiful work, Guy and his folks. I wish I could draw like that. And, but on paper, then we started doing the technological assessment. And we got a phase 2 funding, which more substantial. That's when I ramped up to 6 people to 10-person team. That proposal was written while we were circumnavigating. So we were living on a boat. We were sailing around the world's oceans. And that's probably the best darn proposal I ever wrote. Because I had time to think. Well, and it was survival or thinking. And that was a nice balance. You survive and eat, and then you think. And so I tell the story because that's really how it happened, kind of how we got funding to fund, kind of an outlandish idea. And I had to be willing at any step, because we have reviews. You can't fall in love with your ideas. So I had to be willing at any step to say, oh, bad idea, it's not technically feasible. And we surprised ourselves. And we kept doing the work and the research, and maybe we can apply pressure. Whoa, we got 10 kilopascals. Another year or two, whoa, we got up to 20 kilopascals. Wow, this is great, 20% of an atmosphere. Today, we're trying to get to 30%. We still need to do research. But we kept doing research, and I would ask myself all the time, is this technically feasible, or do we have to get rid of this idea and go work more on conventional spacesuits? And we pleasantly surprised ourselves with, we think this might be technically feasible. And so we've continued for 10 or so years. But it has only been funded for about probably for about 4 of the 10 years. So that, in that sense, you have to love your ideas because you don't want to abandon them, even if you don't have funding and stuff to keep going.
In an interview in The Secret of Life, you said that Mars would be the planet that you would like to visit. Today we have a lot of pictures and more information about Mars. You keep your answer? Why?
Can I what?
You keep your answer, and why?
But it's only if I go with Guy. Once you sail around the world in a boat together, you're either together or you're no longer together. But there's no in between. I have no desire to go to Mars on a just less than 4-year mission on my own. I would not make a good solo sailor at all. But we're going to go with a team. So, yeah, I mean, given the chance to go to Mars, and I don't know, we might even sign up for a one-way trip. We might be that crazy, you know? We might get rid of two people in the population of the Earth, you know? If we made it there alive, we might be willing just to spend the rest of our good communications and every day beam back results. Hey guys, this is what's happening on Mars. And
Why is important Mars?
why Mars? Well, Mars. So I'm a big fan of going to Mars. Guy's more of a fan of let's go back to the moon. So we have different opinions. I don't know. I think maybe he'd go to Mars with me. I haven't asked yet. So Mars is just a really interesting. It's far enough away. It's really challenging to get to, and we might fail. It's high risk, but that's important. That's what I think human explorers should do. We should do high risk type of things, because the benefits are return on investment calculation that I don't know the numbers, but it would be huge. We rewrite scientific knowledge about life forming on planets. I mean, I don't know, that should be pretty darn significant. So Mars is just the best place we know that we can get to with humans to do science, to do exploration. And maybe we should go to the moon, back to the moon again first. We can test, for an engineer, you can test out a lot of the technological systems. So we can test out the Biosuit there. What works, what doesn't work, people might die. So there's good justification for going back to the moon and then to Mars. Limited resources. I worry that and I think we should go to Mars only globally. So many nations. I'd only be interested in a mission if world governments as well as private investors were paying the bill. It's that expensive. So, there's a plus to having governments pay the bill. Governments have funded exploration. The whole history of exploration has been funded primarily by governments. Some is funded privately, but very little. So I think we need both. The answer hasn't changed.
Hi, my name is Christian. I'm an industrial engineer, and I have 2 questions. The first one goes to the Biosuit, and if it's ready for mass production, either in the space or the medical application. And the second question is, if you have the chance of be a big part of a project from scratch, in what project would be, or in what field of knowledge?
Okay, good, tough question. So the first is so no, it's not ready to be mass produced or commercialized for space.
And what's needed?
Space. We're at about a few things, a few really important. So we need to provide a third of an atmosphere. We can provide 20%, 20 kilopascals. We can nail that. 25 kilopascals to 30 kilopascals. We've gotten data, but it's not as consistent. It's a little too variable, So we need more research. Also, all these pretty pictures that you see, those are mock-ups. Those are just because when we try to explain the math and the materials, the engineering prototypes are like a leg, and that's what we hop. I have a small vacuum chamber in my lab, and so we design a real engineering prototype to get as close to 30 kilopascals, and it's boy, you have to cinch that thing up. We're at 1 atmosphere, so it's pretty rough to put on because 1 atmosphere plus 0.3. so it's not so comfortable. And when I step into the vacuum chamber, whoo, it's fantastic, because now it's really 0.3. But so we have a bit of a trouble on Earth testing our prototypes as well, because the environment, you have to really test this, of course, in a vacuum chamber. So optimistically, if we were, well, you know, if I think if we were fully funded and had 2 to 3 years, 3 years at, you know, pretty, you know, significant funding. Million. Yeah, so that's why I'm turning my energy there. We probably make more of a contribution to the medical applications because they're easy. I don't want to say easy, but if you need a compression garment, this is a pressure-producing garment. So if you need a compression garment, a lot of cardiovascular, you know, just something to help, right? Some people might wear them in this audience, just some tight socks to just kind of get the blood up and stuff. That market's probably already taken, but we've looked at it, and that's a big market, and they're producing like less than 1/10 of an atmosphere, so I can do that with right now, easy, you know, with the existing technology, materials, and things like that. So we look at, but for a tougher problem is for cerebral palsy, the real locomotion. We have the wearable sensors, and I can monitor the motion, so I have the sensing, the wearable sensing, it's pretty darn cheap. It's pretty wearable, better than, you know, we're improving, but I don't have the actuation piece down. So I look at kind of some of my wearable sensors, or if you look at this little suit for little kids, you know, we can monitor, and I know their motion. We've been working on that hard for the last 3-4 years, but I need to actually actuate, and I want to, you know, you saw the kind of the big clunky, 10 years ago we kind of had a big clunky actuator to help the patients with drop foot. Well, I need little teeny, you know, actuators that are embedded in the suit to help with the propulsion part. So that's our next, well, we have a proposal in for that now. So we'd like to concentrate that. So I think the medical applications are years away. Probably not going to Mars. 2014 is a really good date. 2018 is a really good date. Probably 2030. Honestly, I might work on this till 2030 and then call it good. Did you have another question?
Yes, the question was if you have the chance of doing a project.
Oh, from scratch. To think about it. I mean, you know, honestly, I haven't thought about doing one from scratch. I think about the potential commercial applications of our existing work. So again, I guess my the technology that we probably, maybe, if anyone's interested, we might end up licensing would be, again, the patterning and the design. Those are kind of our contributions, so I'd gladly license the technology. Personally, you're going to laugh. You know, I'm not that interested in making a lot of money. It doesn't motivate me much. I mean, it's nice, but I'm not going to spend a lot of my time and energy into becoming a millionaire. So personally, I'm probably not going to commercialize and have a revolutionary, spend all my time in the business plan and market, and that's just, it's not those are not my strengths. So I'm more comfortable personally, you know, thinking about licensing the technology and the inventions, and then letting someone take it that has maybe more of an entrepreneurial spirit than I do.